From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Kurosh Parto.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Robert Forto and I'm here with Kurosh Parto and we are the Dog Driver Show. And today we have a guest calling in from Colorado. He is a stage racer and a tour operator. KP, who do we have?
Yes, we have the pleasure of having Austin Forney, one of the veterans of the Pedigree Stage Stop with us, open driver, and has a tour business. He's a tour operator in Colorado, and I've been following him on social media during the Stage Stop Race all the last few years, and very nice team. And Austin, tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you all about?
Yeah, just like you said, my kennel is here in Leadville, Colorado. We're at 10,000 feet, which gives us great weather typically for training. And our primary focus is, just like you said, our tour operation. We are in the heart of ski country in Colorado, so we are about 45 minutes from Vail, 45 minutes from Breckenridge, so right in the heart of ski country to facilitate our tour operation. And then my focus in my race team has been the Pedigree Stage Stop Race, which is just next door here in Wyoming.
We interviewed another tour operator who is specialized in the Pedigree race, Alex, a few months ago, and she had actually two sets of dogs. One set of dogs, race dogs, and one set of dogs, touring dogs. What about you?
I listened to that interview, and that was a great interview for Alex, and I know Alex really well, a friend of mine, like all of us that run Stage Stop are. And, I have a very, very similar setup to Alex. I'm glad you brought that up. We have our tour operation of the dogs that give the tours. Our yearlings actually kind of are in the tour operation as well, as they're waiting to mature to jump into that varsity team on, the race team. For the most part, I do stay away from the tours. We train the race dogs different program. We start earlier. Everything's different, of course, as the dogs are not separated. They all live together, but the varsity team does train differently. I have been in the last handful of years, just as tours fill up, if I have to pinch hit here and there and give some tours, you do what you have to do. It doesn't take away too much from my training for Stage Stop, which I'm very fortunate. I have a great crew, a great staff, and couldn't do it without them. So very, very similar situation to what, Frank and Alex run up there in Jackson, and they do a heck of a job. And so very, very similar, yeah. So
I guess I'm going to ask you very similar type of questions, Austin. I ask Alex, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. In Alaska, we are a sprinter, or they call us, open driver, sprinter, super sprinter in the shorter distances. How do you prepare a dog team from our area to become a competitive dog team for the Stage Stop? I'm talking about teams like Streepers, teams like Animalo, who are very competitive on shorter tracks, faster tracks, and also winning those races during the Pedigree Stage Stop.
That's a great question, KP. I'm unique, and my only racing experience has only been the Stage Stop style of racing. I have competed professionally only in the Stage Stop, so I don't know a lot about the open format and preparing the dogs for that style of racing, and I have been racing Stage Stop now 6 years. This will be going into my 7th. And I was caught in the middle of the format change, so I had started learning and training 12-dog teams at 50 miles, which was a little slower of a pace, but still a loping dog. And now we're doing, as you know, we're doing the little smaller of a pool in a dog team. We're doing the 14-dog pool versus 16-dog pool. And instead of 12-dog max, we're doing a 10-dog max. And the stages are much shorter. Instead of doing up to 50, 60-mile stages, we're doing the shorter stages, 30 to 35, which has been a learning curve for me on bumping up the speed and, staying loping in the hills and keeping those dogs in a nice moving speed up the hill. So prep prepping the dogs for the race in Wyoming is pretty much all I know, KP. We live at 10,000 feet. We have the elevation. We live right in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. I'm looking out at the window, actually, at the Swatch Mountain Range, which is mountains that touch 14,000 and a half feet. And, we have a lot of elevation change. We have a lot of flats to let them open up and run. So the main thing that I've really focused on is just results at Stage Stop and training in what we have and asking questions of the successful mushers that you mentioned, Eric LaForce and Annie and Buddy and Alex and Bruce and JR and all the mushers that have been successful in Stage Stop that have helped me along the way, because the race has such a learning curve. And the one thing about Stage Stop is, like I said, I haven't been to a lot of other races, but I'm sure it is. It's not necessarily, what you're doing, but it's how you're doing it. So Stage Stop, we're all friends. We're competitive, friendly. We're not cutthroat. You're always wanting your friend to have a good run and see them do well. But if somebody has a good race on a mountain stage, you can go up to them and say, "Man, JR, you rocked that stage. What are you doing in training to get your dogs a nice solid motion up the uphill when you're hitting those high percentage grades and keeping them engaged in that lope so you're not downshifting into that trot." So for me, I have the elevation, I have the mountains, and it's just starting early for us, I think, is key to get your dog team ready for Wyoming. I'm lucky where we're at 10,000 feet. We have very cool summers. We'll touch the 80s a little bit, but on the flip side, when sun goes down, we'll get down into the 30s and 40s consistently. So we will start in harness trailing as maybe August 1st. Last year we went August 15th, which gave us about 5.5 months to get ready for Stage Stop, which, like I said, is our number one goal. It's only about 550 miles away, so we can jump in the truck, head up there. We don't have to worry about acclimating to the elevation, and we're kind of plug and play when we get there. So I'm sorry, I was losing where I was going there. Let me catch myself there. I'm sorry.
No, so questions about your training. You said you start your training fairly early, Austin. What about the dogs? Tell me about the pool of the dogs that you select from and how you start this crew in your program.
So there again, we have a very similar program to Alex up there. We're fortunate enough to have a number of dogs that we don't have to look at our yearlings in our program. So we focus on mainly the adults 2 years old to 5, 6. I do have a 7-year-old team that is a multi-year veteran of the race that is going to be on the varsity roster again this year. And that's really great for her because she'll really work with my young developing 2-year-old dogs. And I have 26 dogs that are going to be on the varsity roster this year. And this spring, what we did when we got back from the race, instead of focusing on keeping them dialed in and upping speed and going on and continuing the race circuit, we kind of shift gears and move into spring training, where we're bringing those yearlings over that are going to be the coming 2-year-olds and working them into the team and really looking at talent, assessing the future, and looking forward to next year, as we don't go to Alaska or we don't participate in or compete in any of the other races. And that gives us a good idea of what we're going to get in the fall. And also looking at those 2 to 5, 6-year-olds, we can put the yearlings in the tour program, which is really good for them mentally and physically. It really helps those young dogs develop and understand what it's like to be a working dog in harness day in, day out. So yeah, we'll have 26 dogs in the pool this fall, and we'll dial down from there. Just like a varsity roster, we'll cut from 26 down to 24, probably down to 22, 20, and then we'll put 16 on the truck to head up to Wyoming. And like a lot of people, just carry a couple extra dogs in case something happens during a training run or, etc. while you're traveling with dogs, as you know.
So I have a question for you about the tour. I know we're going to switch gears here a little bit, but a lot of people are really interested in that aspect of our sport or our industry. Our primary clients, are they tourists? Are they skiers that just want something to do on a ski vacation? Because you're a little bit out of the way from it's a little bit of a drive from Breckenridge or Vale over the pass, if you will, to Leadville. Who are you getting for your tours?
You're absolutely right. We are a little bit away from Breckenridge, Beaver Creek, Silverthorne, Breckenridge, Vale. But people make the drive. That is probably 80-90% of our clientele is what is north to us, northeast and northwest. We have highways that go to both resort areas, and that's where we get a lot of our people. They come in, and families that come skiing in the mountains in Colorado, they typically plan for a day or two off in between their skiing days. As you guys know, skiing for a few days in the Rockies and lugging around gear all day, it's nice to have a day off. So a lot of people are coming up and looking for kind of an alternate activity, and we operate here in Leadville, and there is another company down in Breckenridge, Good Times, who does a great job with their tour operation and their dogs. And then we're 100 miles from Denver, so we get a lot of people just coming through for the weekends that, come up on a Friday looking for something to do through the weekend and maybe shoot back to Denver on Sunday, Monday. So we do get some people that come up for the weekend from Denver, primarily because we're in such, like I said, the heart of ski country. We very high volume people that come in and out of our area, which is wonderful for the tour operation.
I used to live there in Colorado, and one of my first sprint race ever was at Camp Hale there in Leadville, and we came up from Bailey, which is about 8,000 feet, to 10,000, and it was a little bit of a jump. I know that you came from Nebraska to that elevation. How long did it take you to really adjust to that lifestyle and get in the groove so you can live at such high elevation, at least in U.S. standards?
I didn't put too much into myself physically moving up here. Being in western Nebraska, we came up to the mountains a lot when I was young, so I had a lot of exposure and a lot of experience in the Rocky Mountains. And where I'm from in western Nebraska is, we're at 4,000 feet elevation there. It's not, high per se, but it's, it's not sea level, that's for sure. And when I came up here, the one thing that I've started to notice about being in Colorado, especially the alpine environment at 10,000 feet, is the extremes. I'm looking out the window right now, and we still have lots of snow sitting in pockets. The backcountry trails haven't really melted out yet. We're barely starting to see buds on the trees. And down in Denver, it's people are mowing their grass, and trees are fully budded, and flowers are blooming, and spring's a different time of year. So we're very fortunate for dog training that, this morning we had 17 degrees at the kennel, and today we'll top out maybe, mid 40s or so, maybe touch 50. So the coolness of the area that we live in this high alpine area is wonderful. And I'm always surprised by Leadville, especially this time of year when you get a little spring fever. May is tricky. We're just coming off. We just had a handful of showers of snow this last week, and we'll see a little bit of sunshine, but it's not till Memorial the backcountry and the trails truly melt out, and you can really access and get into the backcountry in Colorado. As you know, being in Camp Hale, it's we have such large winters and such cool temperatures that the snow really holds for a long period of time, which is great for our training and the dog team, of course. And that's great that you lived in Colorado, Robert. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was years ago, and really cut my teeth in mushing at that point. And that was where I made the switch from mid-distance to sprint, and I did that for a bit, and now I'm back here with the long-distance bug again. So, yeah, it was a great experience living down there.
Yeah,
Austin,
we love it. We love it here.
Austin, you talked about the pool of dogs you are selecting from for your team. Let's talk about your dogs. What is behind it? What's the background, the bloodlines? What type of dog are you running right now?
So, husky style of dog. I've had a lot of background of swingly stuff in my kennel. I've been lucky enough to really make some good friends in the mushing community that have really helped me build my kennel to the point that we're at today. Bruce Magnuson and Jerry Bath, and they have some of the best lower 48 old swingly lines that you're going to see. And I've mixed those in with some streeper lines that I bought from Bud when I first started running Stage Stop, and Bud was so great about, seeing the potential and the longevity and wanting somebody to stay in the sport and supporting the young team. And I started breeding those streeper lines into more of a swingly style, husky style. And now I'm moving towards kind of true Alaskan lines. I was able to get some dogs from Jeff Kahn, as I'm sure you know, KP. And Jeff Kahn has been breeding and racing dogs in Alaska for, 20, 25 years. And I was fortunate when he retired last year to get some of his top best lines, which go back to the Sailor. And he has some sprinty stuff out of Jeff King and Mitch Seavey, which I've never had in my kennel before. And then some Joey Reddington stuff, which I'm really excited about breeding into. So that's the bulk of my kennel. I really bred the streeper and swingly stuff there for a few years, and my breeding program has really taken off just the last 3 or 4 years. I didn't get too in over my head. We were having maybe a litter 2 a year, and that's the kind of the direction we're going to stay at. We're going to continue maybe having, maybe 10 to 15 pups a year, and not huge numbers, but keep our tour operation manageable and keep the race pool healthy. So, and I do, you might see in my pictures and my dog team, but I run more of a huskier style of dog, and the line that I bred into from Streepers actually came from one of their super stud dogs, Cody, which I'm sure, KP, you might know Cody from the old days. He was a Wyoming champ and a Open champ, and more of a husky style dog than they run currently.
Definitely. Austin, when I talk to different people, there's several part of this recipe of doing well, and one part is the nutrition. What do you feed, and how do you feed your team, and how do you prepare them before the race and after the race, or during the race, for the stage top?
Nutrition is one of those key things. We always talk about here at our kennel the four foundational things about success is nutrition, conditioning, rest, and lots of love for the dogs, and that nutrition is always number one. And when we look back at our team year to year, we're always trying to assess from trying to look as an outside perspective on the inside and seeing what you can tweak and what you can do better and what you can improve on. And nutrition is always something that we're tinkering with. Do we do, heavy supplements? Do we back supplements off? Do we do a little more fat, feed a little more kibble? And we're fairly dialed in as we've been feeding more of a meat-based diet. We are here in Colorado, and we can get beef very easily. So we're feeding almost a 75-80% beef to a kibble ratio, and we feed a Diamond brand kibble, which we get here in Colorado easily, and it's a high performance 30-20. Had good success on it. Stools are always good, and they seem to like it, but we really focus primarily on our beef, which is easy to get here, like I said. And Bud turned me on, and a lot of people use is the Canine Health Forward products. We do use Genesis, and we do use Revive, and we start both of those products well before the race and continue using those throughout the race. And I've seen nothing but great things from those supplements. So really highly recommended to me, which I always pass on, because my success has been really based on a lot of people that have given me advice and given me kind of the tips on what they do. And so a little supplementing, and we don't start super early. We probably start supplementing more in the fall. Like I said, we're able to start hooking up in August, September, and really get nice conditioning runs on them. So we will start maybe putting supplements on them maybe in October, maybe around Halloween, when we start getting into the longer training runs. And meat and a little bit of kibble, and Canine Health Forward products have really been the base of our diet.
Austin, as you mentioned, your main focus is the Pedigree race. Do you do any other races, or this is the race of the season for you?
This is the race for the season and our main goal. I love following the other competitors that go up and run the open classes, the Fur-Rondi and the Open North American and the Canadian circuit, and the Paw and Hay River and Yellowknife and all those races. And one of the days, we'll probably get around to doing more of that style. But stage stop works for us as, like I said, KP, we're a day and a half, 550 miles away from going to the race. We live at elevation. We train in the mountains, and the race is first class. It has first class competition. It's the organization is first class, and just the fact that Buddy and Annie and LaForce and all the mushers that have been successful in the race and longevity for 26 years just works for us. It fits right into our recipe, and I've had nothing but amazing experiences from everybody involved with the race, the mushers and the organization, to the volunteers and on up. So yeah, that'll be our main focus here for probably the next 5 or 10 years, KP.
Austin, I always ask our guests the same question, and you talked a lot about getting advice from other competitors and how that give and take is very important in this sport, and I totally agree with that. We don't learn if we don't ask, for sure. So we're going to turn the tables a little bit and put that on you. So if somebody's just getting involved in the sport, whether they're going to run stage racing or sprint or distance or whatever, they're just getting involved with the dog sport, what would be one piece of advice you would tell that person?
I've thought about this, Robert, because I've heard you ask some other mushers about it. And, I think that if I was to go back and do it again, which would be maybe the advice and the tip that the process I would go to is just to take it slow, is to immerse yourself in the lifestyle, be around dogs, be around racing, be around the people of the sport, and then start to kind of learn what kind of musher and what kind of dog you lean towards. I think that people jump right in and they get the idea that, going super, super fast is fun, or going Iditarod super, super long is fun, but you really need to understand what kind of personality you are and if you can handle those long, arduous, slow trotting miles on a Iditarod team, or if you're more interested in the speed and the intensity and the fast pace of a sprint style of dog, and what fits your lifestyle and what fits your mentality. So I think before, a young person was to invest in the sport, I think it's really important to know who you are and what your goals are as a person and as a musher before you get really, really deep into it. And that kind of comes from personal experience, because when I was in the Great Lakes region, I was in Michigan and Minnesota for a handful of years, and that's when, like all of us, you get into the sport and you start buying dogs. And I bought a handful of distance-style dogs and moved back to the ranch with my wife. And Wyoming's right across the mountain, and started following the race, and kind of decided that sprint stage style was going to more fit me. So I kind of had to make the transition from more of a distance style of a dog to a sprint stage style of dog. And as we all know, the training is different too, where you're training a more of a trotting style of a dog or a loping style of a dog. So, knowing what you think is fun behind the sled and enjoying it, and just knowing what your goals are before you cannonball in the deep end, which I have a tendency to do. So I kind of got stuck in that for the first 5 or 6 years before I switched to stage mushing. So that's what I would say to you, Robert.
That's great advice. And, as we do these shows, that we've done them for almost 2 years now, to be 2 years in July. And we've heard that answer quite a bit, but everybody has their own take on it. I really like that personality portion of it, because you said that, you may get into something that you may not even enjoy. And I think a lot of people do that. They come up to Alaska or whatever and, work for an Iditarod musher, and they think that that's the only type of mushing there is, and they have to do that. So I like that advice and what you shared with finding out who you are before you invest time, money, effort, energy, and all. KP, anything else for Austin before we go?
I 100% agree with what he said. Actually, it's a very, very, very good advice. Your lifestyle to match the lifestyle of the sled dog type of sled dog racing you have planned. Austin, wanted to thank you spending the last 25, 30 minutes with us. I enjoyed chatting with you, knowing you a little bit more, and we'll be following you on social media during the stage stop race. Good luck to you. and have a wonderful summer and a fantastic training season ahead of you.
Right on. Thanks for calling, guys, and great speaking with you. And thanks for doing the show. I enjoy tuning in every week. So hopefully we'll meet in person, eh?
Very good. Thank you very much, Austin. On behalf of our guest today and my co-host, this is Robert for the Dog Driver Show. We will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Kurosh Parto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.